The snow falls in thick, silent curtains outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Harrington estate, and I stand here in a red velvet dress that cost more than my monthly salary, watching my entire world collapse in front of 300 of Chicago's most powerful people. My name is Elena Carver. I am 32 years old, and in the next 60 seconds, the man I married 4 years ago will destroy everything I thought I knew about love, about trust, about myself. The grand ballroom glitters with 10,000 fairy lights strung across exposed wooden beams. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic rainbows across the marble floor. A 12-foot Christmas tree dominates the corner, decorated in gold and ivory, and somewhere a string quartet plays Silent Night with the kind of precision only money can buy. I should feel beautiful tonight. I spent 3 hours getting ready, curling my dark hair into waves that fall past my shoulders, applying makeup with careful hands, choosing this dress because Derek said red was his favorite color. I wanted to make him proud. I wanted to be the perfect wife at his company's annual Christmas gala. But Derek hasn't looked at me once since we arrived. He stands across the room now, his hand resting on the small of another woman's back. She is blonde, younger than me, wearing a silver dress that clings to curves I will never have. Her laugh carries across the ballroom, high and musical, and Derek leans close to whisper something in her ear. My champagne glass trembles in my hand. Elena. My best friend Mia appears at my side, her dark eyes wide with concern. Elena, come with me. Let's get some air. I'm fine, I whisper, but my voice cracks on the second word. I am not fine. I have not been fine for months. The late nights Derek claimed were work meetings, the receipts I found for restaurants we never visited together, the way he flinches when I reach for him in bed, turning away with excuses about stress, about pressure, about everything except the truth. The truth is standing across the room in silver sequins, and she is looking at my husband like he belongs to her. Elena, please. Mia tugs my arm. Don't do this to yourself. Not here, not in front of all these people. But I cannot move. My feet have fused to the marble floor. My heart beats in my throat, thick and painful, and I watch as Derek guides the blonde woman toward the center of the room. The string quartet falls silent. Someone taps a microphone. Excuse me, everyone. Derek's voice fills the ballroom, smooth and confident. The same voice that once whispered promises of forever against my hair. I'd like to make an announcement. 300 heads turn toward him, 300 pairs of eyes, including mine. As many of you know, this has been a transformational year for Harrington Industries. Derek smiles, and it is the smile of a man who believes he is untouchable. We've expanded into 3 new markets, increased our revenue by 40%, and secured partnerships that will define our future for decades to come. Polite applause ripples through the crowd. I stand frozen, my champagne going flat, watching the man I married perform for his audience. But none of that would have been possible without the support of someone very special. Derek reaches for the blonde woman's hand, and she takes it, her smile radiant, triumphant. Someone who has stood by me through every challenge, every obstacle, every moment of doubt. My stomach drops. The room tilts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Victoria Hayes. Derek pulls her close, and she nestles against his side like she was made to fit there. My partner, my confidant, the woman who will be joining me as co-CEO of Harrington Industries in the new year. The applause is louder now, genuine and enthusiastic. People press forward to offer congratulations. Cameras flash, and I stand in the corner of the ballroom, invisible, forgotten, watching my husband publicly declare his devotion to another woman. Elena! Mia's voice is sharp now, urgent. Elena, we need to leave. But my legs carry me forward instead of back. I move through the crowd like a ghost, drawn toward the spectacle of my own humiliation by some force I cannot name. Perhaps I need to hear him say it. Perhaps I need to see his face when he acknowledges what he has done. Derek. My voice is small, swallowed by the noise of celebration. Derek. He turns, and for one terrible moment, our eyes meet. I see recognition there, followed by something worse than hatred. I see indifference. Elena. He says my name like it tastes sour. I didn't realize you were still here. The blonde woman, Victoria, looks at me with barely concealed amusement. So this is the famous Mrs. Carver. Derek has told me so much about you. I should say something. I should defend myself, demand answers, create the kind of scene that would give the gossip columnists material for months. But my throat has closed around words that will not come. Perhaps we should talk privately, I manage finally, my voice shaking. Derek, please. I don't understand what's happening. What's happening is exactly what it looks like. Derek's tone is cold, clinical, the voice of a man discussing quarterly projections rather than the dissolution of a marriage. I've moved on, Eleanor. I assumed you would have figured that out by now. Moved on? The champagne glass slips from my numb fingers, shattering against the marble floor. Heads turn, whispers begin. Derek, we're married. We have a life together. You can't just... Our marriage has been over for years. He cuts me off with a wave of his hand, dismissive, final. You were convenient, Elena. A suitable wife for a man building an empire. But I don't need suitable anymore. I need someone who matches my ambition. Victoria smiles, and it is the smile of a woman who has already won. The whispers are louder now. I can feel 300 pairs of eyes on my face, watching, judging, witnessing the moment Elena Carver learns that her entire marriage was a performance she wasn't talented enough to carry. Derek, please. Tears blur my vision. Can we just talk? Somewhere private? I know we've had problems, but there's nothing to talk about. He straightens his tie, already looking past me towards someone more important, more interesting, more worthy of his attention. I've had the papers drawn up. You'll find them waiting at the house. I'd appreciate it if you could sign them before the new year. Victoria and I would prefer to start fresh. The new year. 5 days away. He wants to erase 4 years of marriage in 5 days. The house, I whisper, the word catching in my throat. You mean our house? The one we bought together? The house that's in my name. Derek's smile is patient, patronizing. The lawyers will explain everything. I'm sure you'll find the settlement generous, considering the circumstances. Considering the circumstances, as if I am the one who has done something wrong, as if 4 years of loyalty, of sacrifice, of believing in a man who never believed in me, amounts to nothing more than circumstances to be considered. Derek. Victoria tugs his arm, her voice a perfect blend of concern and impatience. We're keeping everyone waiting. Of course. He turns back to me, and his expression is already distant, already moving on to the next chapter of his story, the one that doesn't include me. Happy. Holidays, Elena. I hope you find what you're looking for. And then he is gone, swallowed by the crowd of well-wishers, leaving me standing alone in a red velvet dress, surrounded by broken glass and shattered dreams. The whispers have grown into a roar. I can hear fragments of conversation drifting past me like debris from a shipwreck. Did you see her face? How humiliating. I always knew there was something wrong with that marriage. Poor thing, she had no idea. Poor thing. That is what I have become, an object of pity at the party of the year. Eleanor. Mia is at my side again, her arm around my shoulders, steering me toward the exit. Come on, let's get out of here. I let her guide me through the crowd. People part to let us pass, their expressions a mixture of sympathy and barely concealed fascination. This will be the story they tell for months. The night Derek Harrington publicly abandoned his wife at his own Christmas party. The night Eleanor Carver was revealed to be nothing more than a placeholder for someone better. The cold hits me like a wall when we step outside. Snow swirls around the entrance to the estate, coating the row of luxury cars in a thin layer of white. My coat is still inside, my purse, my phone, my keys, all still inside, but I cannot go back. I cannot face those staring eyes again. I'll get our things, Mia says, her voice firm. Wait here, don't move. She disappears back into the warmth of the party, and I stand alone on the stone steps, shivering in my thin dress, watching the snow fall on a world that no longer makes sense. I gave him everything. 4 years of my life. My career. I left my job as a restaurant manager to support his vision for Harrington Industries. My friends slowly pushed away as Derek demanded more of my time, my attention, my devotion. My sense of self chipped away piece by piece until I no longer recognized the woman in the mirror. And for what? To be discarded like a dress that no longer fits. To be replaced by someone younger, blonder, more ambitious. To be humiliated in front of everyone who matters in this city. The tears come freely now, hot against my frozen cheeks. I wrap my arms around myself, trying to hold together pieces that keep falling apart, and I cry for the woman I used to be. The woman who believed in happy endings. The woman who thought love was enough to build a life on. That woman died tonight, somewhere between the champagne toast and the shattered glass. Excuse me. The voice comes from behind me, deep and rough, carrying an accent I cannot place. I turn, wiping uselessly at my tears, expecting to find a driver or a security guard asking me to move. Instead, I find myself looking up at a man who steals the breath from my lungs. He is tall, well over 6 feet, with broad shoulders straining against a perfectly tailored black suit. His hair is dark, almost black, pushed back from a face that belongs in museum paintings, all sharp angles and sculpted planes, a jaw that could cut glass, eyes the color of winter storms. Those eyes study me now with an intensity that makes my skin prickle despite the cold. "You're freezing," he says, and it is not a question. Before I can respond, he shrugs off his overcoat and drapes it around my shoulders. It is warm from his body, lined in something soft that might be cashmere, and it carries a scent that is somehow both dark and comforting, cedar, perhaps, and something else I cannot name. "Thank you," I manage, my voice thick with tears I cannot control. "I'm sorry, I'm fine, I'm just—" "You're not fine." His tone is matter-of-fact, but not unkind. "You're standing in a snowstorm in a dress meant for a heated ballroom, crying alone on the steps of a house that clearly holds nothing good for you." I let out a sound that might be a laugh if it weren't so close to a sob. "Is it that obvious?" I saw what happened in there. His jaw tightens, and something dangerous flashes in those storm-grey eyes. "What that man did to you was unforgivable. You were at the party. I was leaving when I saw you." He glances toward the doors, then back at me. "Do you have someone coming for you? A friend? Family?" "My friend is getting our things." I pull his coat tighter around my shoulders, grateful for the warmth even as I wonder who this stranger is and why he stopped. "She'll be back in a minute." He nods, but makes no move to leave. Instead, he stands there like a wall between me and the cold wind, blocking the worst of the snow with his broad frame. "What's your name?" "Eleanor." The word slips out before I can think to withhold it. "Eleanor Carver." Something flickers across his face at the name, too fast for me to interpret. "Eleanor," he repeats, and my name sounds different in his voice, weighted with meaning I do not understand. "I'm Marcus." "Just Marcus?" A hint of a smile touches his lips. "For tonight, just Marcus." The doors burst open behind him, and Mia rushes out with our coats, bundled in her arms. She stops short when she sees the stranger standing beside me, her eyes widening. "Elena, are you okay? Who is—" "I'm fine." I slip out from under Marcus's coat and hand it back to him, immediately missing its warmth. "This is Marcus. He was kind enough to offer his coat while you were inside." Mia looks at him with undisguised suspicion. "Thank you for helping my friend." "It was my pleasure." Marcus takes the coat, but his eyes remain on my face. "Elena, if you ever need anything, assistance, protection, someone to talk to, you can find me." He reaches into his pocket and produces a card, pressing it into my palm. "That number reaches me directly, day or night." I look down at the card. It is heavy stock, cream-colored, with nothing but a phone number embossed in gold. No name, no company. Just 10 digits that could mean anything or nothing. "I don't understand," I say, looking up. "Why would you—" But he is already walking away, moving toward a black car that materialized silently at the curb. A driver opens the door, and Marcus pauses at the threshold, looking back at me one final time. "Happy holidays, Elena." His voice carries across the snow. "I hope the new year brings you everything you deserve." Then he is gone, swallowed by the dark interior of the car, and I am left standing in the cold with a mysterious card in my hand and more questions than answers. "Who was that?" Mia demands, draping my coat around my shoulders. "Elena, that man looked like trouble." "I don't know." I stare at the card, running my thumb over the embossed numbers. I have no idea. But something in my chest has shifted. A tiny spark of warmth in the frozen landscape of this terrible night. A stranger saw me at my lowest moment and offered kindness without asking for anything in return. In a world where my husband just discarded me like garbage, that small act of compassion feels like a miracle. "Come on," Mia says, steering me toward her car. "Let's get you home, or whatever passes for home after tonight." Home. The word tastes bitter now. The house I shared with Derek for 4 years, decorated with memories that have all turned to lies. The bed where I slept alone more nights than I can count, waiting for a husband who was never really mine. I slide into Mia's car and lean my head against the cold window, watching the Harrington estate shrink in the side mirror. The fairy lights still twinkle in the windows. The party continues without me. Somewhere inside, my husband is celebrating his future with another woman, already having forgotten the wife he destroyed tonight. But I have something he doesn't know about. A card with a gold number. A stranger named Marcus, with storm-grey eyes. And a feeling I cannot name, spreading through my chest like the first warmth of dawn after the longest night. Check if you're already subscribed to this channel. If you love stories that transform heartbreak into hope, where the coldest nights lead to unexpected connections, then you'll want to be here for every moment of Elena's journey. Subscribe now, because what happens next will change everything. The drive to the house takes 45 minutes through snow-covered streets. Chicago glitters with Christmas lights, wreaths on lampposts, trees glowing in apartment windows, inflatable snowmen waving cheerfully from suburban lawns. Every decoration feels like mockery. "You can stay with me," Mia says for the 3rd time. "I have the guest room. You don't have to go back there tonight." "I need to see the papers." My voice sounds hollow, disconnected from my body. "I need to understand what he's doing." "Eleanor, nothing good can come from reading legal documents at midnight while you're in shock. Please, just come home with me." "I'll be fine." The lie slides easily off my tongue. I just need some time alone to process everything. Mia pulls into the driveway of the house, Derek's house, I remind myself, never truly mine, and parks behind my car. The windows are dark. The Christmas lights we strung together last weekend are unlit, coils of dead color against the brick. "Call me," Mia insists, grabbing my hand. "The second you want company, the second you feel overwhelmed. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning, call me." "I will." I squeeze her fingers and force a smile. "Thank you for being there tonight. I don't know what I would have done without you." "What are best friends for?" Her eyes are wet, reflecting the dashboard lights. "I love you, Elena, and for what it's worth, Derek Harrington is an idiot. You deserve so much better than him." The words are kind, but they land like stones, because the truth is, I don't know what I deserve anymore. I don't know who I am without the identity of Derek's wife, the role I've played so thoroughly that I lost myself in the performance. I climb out of the car and wave as Mia drives away. Then I stand alone in the driveway, key in hand, staring at the house. That was supposed to be my forever home. The papers are on the kitchen counter, exactly where Derek said they would be. A thick manila envelope with Harrington Carver printed on the label, containing documents that will erase 4 years of my life in a matter of signatures. I pour myself a glass of wine, one of the expensive bottles Derek keeps for special occasions because why not, and sit at the kitchen island to read through the settlement. The words blur together. Legal jargon about asset division and property rights and irreconcilable differences. Irreconcilable differences. as if the breakdown of our marriage was mutual, a disagreement between equals, rather than one man's systematic betrayal of everything sacred. The settlement is, as Derek promised, generous. He is offering me enough money to start over. A small apartment, basic expenses, the chance to rebuild whatever remains of my career. What he is not offering is any acknowledgement of what he took from me. The years, the dreams, the woman I used to be before I became nothing but his shadow. I sign nothing. Instead, I leave the papers on the counter and carry my wine upstairs to the bedroom we shared. The closet is already half empty. Derek must have moved his things to Victoria's place weeks ago, maybe months, while I remained oblivious to my own displacement. I undress slowly, letting the red velvet dress pool at my feet like a puddle of old dreams. In the bathroom mirror, I study my face. Mascara, smeared from crying, lipstick faded, eyes haunted by the ghost of the woman I was this morning before everything changed. "Who are you?" I ask the reflection. "Who are you now that you're no longer his wife?" The reflection has no answers. I climb into bed alone, pulling the covers up to my chin and stare at the ceiling until exhaustion drags me into a fitful sleep. I dream of storm-grey eyes, of a voice saying my name like a prayer, of warmth spreading through the cold. Morning arrives grey and bitter. I wake to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand, notifications piling up from people who saw last night's spectacle and feel compelled to comment. Some express sympathy. Most are simply curious, hungry for details they can share over coffee. I ignore them all and stumble downstairs to make coffee. The divorce papers wait on the counter, unmoved, unanswered. I pour my coffee and sit across from them, trying to summon the energy to care about asset division and settlement terms. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text from an unknown number. "I hope you slept. The first night is always the hardest." I stare at the message, my heart pounding. Who would? And then I remember. The card. The stranger named Marcus with the storm-grey eyes. The phone number embossed in gold. My fingers move before my brain can catch up. "How did you get this number?" The response comes within seconds. "I make it my business to know things, Elena. Are you safe?" Safe. Such a simple word, for such a complicated question. "I'm at the house, alone. The papers are here. Don't sign anything yet. You need time to think. And a lawyer who works for you, not for him." I frown at the screen. "Who are you?" "Really?" A pause. Then, "Someone who recognizes cruelty when he sees it. What happened to you last night was wrong. No one deserves to be discarded like that, least of all in public." Tears prick my eyes again. I have spent months, maybe years, convincing myself that Derek's coldness was my fault, that if I were better, prettier, more successful, more interesting, he would love me the way he used to, or the way I thought he did. But this stranger sees it differently. This stranger calls it what it is. Cruelty. "Thank you," I type. "I don't know why you're being so kind to me. Perhaps I've seen too much cruelty in my time. Perhaps I'm tired of watching good people suffer at the hands of those who don't deserve them. I want to ask him more. I want to know who he is, what he does, why he appeared at that party, and chose to stop for a crying woman on the steps. But my phone rings before I can respond. An unknown number, different from Marcus's. "Hello?" "Mrs. Carver." The voice is crisp, professional, female. "This is Patricia Lane from Lane & Associates. I'm calling on behalf of your husband regarding the divorce proceedings." My stomach drops. "Already?" "Mr. Harrington would like to expedite the process. He's prepared to increase the settlement by 20% if you can sign the papers by Friday." Friday, Christmas Eve. He wants to finalize our divorce on Christmas Eve. "I haven't had time to review everything," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "I haven't even consulted a lawyer." "Mr. Harrington anticipated that you might need encouragement." Patricia's tone is perfectly neutral. "He asked me to remind you that delaying the process will only prolong your discomfort. And his. His discomfort, as if his feelings are somehow equivalent to mine." as if the man who orchestrated my public humiliation has any right to speak of discomfort. "I'll contact you when I've made a decision," I say, and hang up before she can respond. My phone buzzes again. Marcus. Problems? I hesitate, then type. His lawyers are already calling. He wants everything finalized by Christmas. He's trying to pressure you into signing before you understand your rights. Don't let him. I don't have a lawyer. I can recommend someone. If you're willing to... Trust me. Trust. Such a loaded word. I trusted Derek, and look where that led me. But something in Marcus's words feels different. Something in his tone, even through text, suggests a man who says what he means and means what he says. "Why are you helping me?" I ask again. The response takes longer this time. "Because I know what it feels like to be underestimated, to be treated as disposable by someone who should have valued you, and because, Elena, you deserve better than a man who would humiliate you for sport." I read the message 3 times, letting the words sink in. "Okay," I type finally. "I'll trust you." 3 hours later, I am sitting in the office of Diana Vasquez, the most feared divorce attorney in Chicago. Her name came from Marcus in a single text. "She will protect your interests. Tell her I sent you." Diana is a small woman with silver hair and sharp eyes that miss nothing. She reviews the divorce papers with a frown that deepens with each page. "This settlement is insulting," she says finally, sliding the documents back across her desk. "You were married for 4 years. You gave up your career to support his business. You're entitled to far more than what he's offering. I just want it to be over." The words come out before I can stop them. I don't want to fight him. I understand the impulse. Diana leans back in her chair. But signing these papers is exactly what he wants. He's counting on your exhaustion, your humiliation, your desire to disappear quietly. He's counting on you being too beaten down to realize your own worth. My own worth. I've spent so long letting Derek define my value that I've forgotten I have any. "What would you advise?" I ask. "Counteroffer, substantially. Ask for the house. It's marital property regardless of whose name is on the deed. Ask for a percentage of Harrington Industries. Ask for acknowledgement of the emotional harm he's caused." He'll never agree to that. Probably not. But negotiation starts with ambition and ends with compromise. If you begin from a position of weakness, you'll end with nothing. I think about Derek's face last night, the indifference in his eyes, the way he looked at me like I was a problem to be solved rather than a person to be loved. "Do it," I say, "counteroffer. Make him understand that I won't disappear quietly." Diana smiles, and it is the smile of a woman who enjoys a good fight. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I leave her office feeling something I haven't felt in months, maybe years. Anger, not the helpless turned inward anger that has been eating me alive. Real anger, righteous anger, the kind of anger that burns away fog and leaves clarity in its wake. Derek Harrington took 4 years of my life. He stripped away my identity, my confidence, my sense of self. He humiliated me in front of everyone I know. But he will not take my dignity. He will not take my future. He will not reduce me to a footnote in his success story. I know. I'm more than the wife he discarded. I am more than the woman crying on the steps. I just have to figure out who that woman is. My phone buzzes as I step onto the street. "Marcus, how did it go?" "She's incredible," I type back. "Thank you for the recommendation." "Diana will fight for you. She's never lost a case." I start walking toward my car, snowflakes drifting down from a gray sky. "Why do you know a divorce attorney who's never lost a case?" "I know a lot of people who are very good at what they do." "That's not an answer." "No, it isn't." I stop walking, staring at my phone. "Marcus, I need to know who you are. You appeared out of nowhere. You're helping me for no apparent reason. You have connections to powerful people. Who are you?" The response takes a long time, long enough that I begin walking again, resigning myself to mystery. Then, "I'm someone who has done things I regret. Someone who has hurt people, though not the way your husband hurt you. Someone who saw you last night and recognized something worth protecting." That doesn't tell me anything concrete. No, it doesn't. But it's the truth, Elena. Every word of it. I reach my car and slide behind the wheel, hands shaking from something that isn't entirely cold. Will I see you again? I type. If you want to. But I should warn you. My world is complicated. Knowing me comes with risks. Risks. The word should frighten me. It should send me running in the opposite direction. But I have spent 4 years playing it safe, and look where that led me. Standing alone in the snow, watching my marriage collapse, wondering how I became so small. I'm tired of being afraid, I type. When can I see you? Tomorrow night. I'll send a car at 7. Tomorrow night. Christmas Eve. The night Derek wanted our divorce finalized. Instead, I will be meeting a mysterious stranger who appeared from the snow like a figure from a fairy tale. Perhaps I am making a terrible mistake. Perhaps Marcus is dangerous in ways I cannot imagine. Perhaps this is the kind of decision that will change my life in ways I cannot predict. But as I drive home through the falling snow, I realize I don't care. For the first time in years, I feel alive. The car arrives at precisely 7, just as Marcus promised. It's a sleek black sedan with tinted windows and a driver who introduces himself simply as Thomas. He holds the door open for me with professional courtesy, and I slide into a leather interior that smells of luxury and restraint. "Good evening, Ms. Carver," Thomas says as he settles behind the wheel. "Mr. Marcus asked me to inform you that the drive will take approximately 30 minutes. There's water and wine in the compartment to your left if you require refreshment." "Thank you." I smooth my dress, a simple black number, elegant but understated, and try to calm the flutter of nerves in my stomach. "Can you tell me where we're going?" "To Mr. Marcus's residence. Beyond that, I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to say." The car pulls away from the curb, and I watch the familiar streets of my neighborhood slip past the tinted windows. Christmas lights twinkle on every house, wreaths adorn every door, and somewhere a family is gathering around a tree, opening presents, creating memories that will sustain them through the year to come. I had that once. Or I thought I did. The drive takes us out of the suburbs and into the city, past the glittering towers of downtown Chicago, then beyond into neighborhoods I've never explored. The houses grow larger, the properties more expansive until we turn through a gate flanked by stone lions and proceed up a private drive lined with perfectly trimmed hedges. The house that emerges from the darkness takes my breath away. It's not a house, it's an estate. A massive structure of grey stone and tall windows, lit from within by warm golden light that spills across the snow-covered grounds. A fountain, dormant for winter, stands in the center of a circular drive, and the front doors are framed by columns that speak of old money and older power. Thomas stops the car and opens my door. I step out into the cold, my heels sinking slightly into the thin layer of snow, and stare up at the mansion before me. "He's waiting in the library," Thomas says. "I'll escort you inside." The interior of the house is even more impressive than the exterior. A grand foyer with marble floors and a sweeping staircase. Crystal chandeliers casting prismatic light. Across walls hung with art that looks original and expensive. The scent of cedar and pine, probably from the enormous Christmas tree that dominates the corner, decorated in silver and white. But it's the silence that strikes me most. Despite the grandeur, despite the obvious wealth, the house feels empty in a way that money cannot fill. Thomas leads me down a hallway lined with closed doors until we reach one that stands open, warm light spilling into the corridor. He steps aside and gestures me, "Forward." "Miss Carver has arrived, sir." I enter the library and stop. Marcus stands by a fireplace, one hand resting on the mantel, the other holding a glass of amber liquid. The firelight catches the planes of his face, illuminating sharp cheekbones and a strong jaw, casting shadows that make him look both dangerous and beautiful. He's wearing dark slacks and a charcoal sweater that emphasizes the breadth of his shoulders. His dark hair is slightly disheveled, as if he's been running his fingers through it, and when he turns to look at me, those storm-grey eyes pin me in place with an intensity that steals my breath. "Elena." He sets down his glass and crosses the room toward me. "Thank you for coming." Thank you for inviting me. My voice is steadier than I feel. Your home is beautiful. It's a house. He stops a few feet away, studying my face with that unnerving attention. Beauty is found elsewhere. Something in his tone makes warmth bloom in my chest. I look away, grateful for the firelight that hides the flush creeping up my neck. You said your world is complicated, I say, returning my gaze to his. I think it's time you explained what that means. Marcus is silent for a long moment. Then he gestures toward a pair of leather chairs arranged before the fire. Sit. Please, this may take a while. I settle into one of the chairs, and he takes the other, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. The fire crackles between us, casting dancing shadows across the walls. My name is Marcus Valenti, he begins, and the name lands in my mind with a weight I don't immediately understand. My family has operated in Chicago for 3 generations. We have interests in real estate, shipping, finance, and various other enterprises. Enterprises, I repeat. That's a vague word. It's an intentional one. His eyes hold mine. The Valenti family has not always operated within the bounds of conventional law, Elena. We have a reputation in this city, a reputation that inspires both respect and fear. The implications settle over me slowly, like snow accumulating on a windshield. Valenti. I've heard whispers of that name. Rumors about power that operates in shadows, about influence that reaches into every corner of Chicago. You're telling me I'm telling you the truth, he cuts me off gently. Because you asked. Because you deserve to know who you're dealing with before you decide whether to walk out that door and never look back. My heart pounds in my chest. Every instinct should be screaming at me to run, to flee from this beautiful, dangerous man and the world he represents. But I don't move. Why me? I ask instead. Of all the people at that party, why did you stop for me? Marcus leans back in his chair and something in his expression softens. Because you looked lost. Not just sad, lost. Like you had just discovered that everything you believed about your life was a lie, and you didn't know how to find your way back. That's exactly how I felt. I know the feeling. His voice drops. Better than you might imagine. The fire pops, sending a shower of sparks up the chimney. Outside, snow falls silently past the tall windows, painting the world in white. What happened to you? I ask softly. Marcus is quiet for so long that I think he won't answer. Then he speaks, his voice low and rough with memory. I was raised to lead this family, trained from childhood to be strong, ruthless, decisive. My father believed that sentiment was weakness, that love was a liability. He taught me to see people as tools, useful or useless, loyal or expendable. That sounds lonely. It was, but I didn't realize how lonely until my mother died. His jaw tightens. She was the only person who ever showed me tenderness. When I lost her, I lost whatever softness remained in me. I became what my father always wanted, a leader, a force, a man without mercy. And now? Now I am tired. The admission costs him something. I can see it in the tension of his shoulders, the careful way he chooses his words. Tired of being feared, tired of living in a world where loyalty is bought and love is a transaction, tired of looking in the mirror and seeing my father's eyes staring back at me. So you saw me on those steps and, what, saw a chance to be someone different? I saw a woman who deserved kindness in a moment of cruelty. I saw someone who had been failed by the people who should have protected her. His eyes meet mine again, and the intensity there makes me forget to breathe. I saw you, Elena, and I couldn't walk away. The silence stretches between us, filled with the crackle of fire and the weight of unspoken words. I should be terrified of you, I say finally. You just told me you come from a world of criminals and violence. You admitted you've been ruthless, merciless, and yet you're the only person who has shown me genuine kindness in longer than I can. Remember, my husband treated me like furniture. His colleagues looked through me. My own family has been absent for years. But you A stranger saw me crying in the snow and offered me your coat. A small gesture. No, I shake my head. It wasn't small. It was everything. In that moment, it was everything. Marcus rises from his chair and crosses to stand before me. He extends his hand, and I take it without thinking, letting him draw me to my feet. We stand inches apart. I can feel the heat of him, smell that scent of cedar and something darker, more intoxicating. His eyes search my face, and I see conflict there. Desire warring with caution, loneliness battling discipline. Elena. My name in his voice is a caress. I should send you home. I should protect you from my world and everything it contains. I should... What do you want? I interrupt. Not what you should do. What do you want? He is silent for a heartbeat. 2. Then, I want to keep you safe. I want to watch you. Rediscover who you are without that man's shadow hanging over you. I want to deserve the trust you're placing in me, even though I know I probably don't. And what if I want to stay? His hand tightens on mine. Then I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that choice. The moment hangs between us, fragile and infinite. I could walk away now. I could return to my empty house and my divorce papers and my shattered life. I could choose safety over uncertainty, familiarity over the unknown. But I am so tired of playing it safe, so tired of being the woman who follows rules and meets expectations and disappears quietly when she becomes inconvenient. Show me, I say. Show me your world. Let me decide for myself if I can live in it. Something shifts in Marcus's expression, not quite a smile, but something close, a softening around the edges, a warmth that reaches those storm-gray eyes. Tomorrow, he says. Tonight, let me show you something else first. He leads me by, the hand out of the library, down more corridors lined with closed doors, until we emerge into a conservatory I didn't know existed. Glass walls reveal the snowy garden beyond, but inside, the room is alive with warmth and green. Plants of every variety climb toward the ceiling, fill corners, cascade from hanging baskets. In the center stands a table set for 2, candles flickering, wine waiting in crystal glasses. You did this? I ask, wonder coloring my voice. My mother loved gardens, Marcus says quietly. When she died, I had this conservatory built in her memory. It seemed fitting to share it with someone who understands loss. I turn to look at him, this complicated man who leads a world of shadows, but builds glass rooms full of growing things. Thank you, I whisper. I don't have words. Then don't use them. Eat, drink, be here in this moment, without the weight of your past or your fear of the future. Just be here. And so I do. We eat together as snow falls beyond the glass walls. We talk about food, about books, about cities we've visited and places we dream of seeing. We do not speak of divorce papers or criminal enterprises or the complicated reality waiting outside this warm, green space. For one evening, we are simply 2 people finding unexpected connection in the midst of their separate winters. It is past midnight when Thomas drives me home. I sit in the back of the sedan, watching the snow-covered city slide past, feeling like I have stepped out of one life and into another. My phone buzzes. Marcus. Thank you for tonight. I smile at the screen. Thank you for showing me your mother's garden. There is more I want to show you when you're ready. I'm ready now. A pause, then, good, because tomorrow everything changes. I don't know what he means. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, or how deep I am willing to dive into the world of Marcus Valenti. But as I walk into my empty house and climb into my empty bed, I realize that for the first time in years, I am not dreading what comes next. I am anticipating it, and that in itself is a kind of miracle. Christmas morning dawns clear and bright, sunlight sparkling off fresh snow like scattered diamonds. I wake slowly, disoriented by the unfamiliar feeling of hope pressing against my ribs. My phone shows 3 texts from Derek's lawyer, increasingly urgent requests to sign the settlement papers. I delete them without reading. There is also a text from Marcus. "Merry Christmas, Elena. A car will arrive at noon. Dress warmly." I spend the morning in a daze, showering and choosing clothes with more care than I've taken in months. I settle on dark jeans, a cream sweater, boots that can handle snow. Nothing too formal, nothing too casual. Something that says I am a woman who takes herself seriously without trying too hard. The car arrives precisely at noon, and Thomas drives me back to the Valenti estate. But instead of stopping at the main house, he continues past it, following a winding road through snow-covered grounds until we reach a smaller building. A stable, I realize, as we approach. Marcus waits outside, dressed in riding clothes, holding the reins of 2 horses. "You ride?" I ask, as I step out of the car. "Since childhood. You?" "A little, not for years." "Good." He hands me the reins of a gentle-looking mare with a coat the color of warm honey. She's patient with beginners. We ride through the grounds of his estate, past frozen ponds and snow-laden trees, following paths that wind through a winter wonderland I didn't know existed within the city limits. Marcus rides beside me, pointing out landmarks: the gazebo where his mother used to read, the pond where he learned to skate, the grove of oaks that has stood for 200 years. It feels like being granted access to his history, his memories, the parts of himself he keeps hidden behind walls of power and control. "This is incredible," I say as we crest a small hill that offers a view of the entire property. "How much land do you own?" "Enough." He dismounts and helps me down from my horse. "But it's not about the land. It's about having space to breathe, space to think, space to be something other than what the world expects you to be." We stand together at the top of the hill, watching the sun paint the snow in shades of gold and pink. "What does the world expect you to be?" I ask. "A monster." His voice is matter-of-fact, without self-pity. "A necessary evil. Someone to be feared, never trusted, certainly never loved." "And what do you want to be?" He turns to look at me, and the afternoon light catches his eyes, softening the grey to something almost silver. "I used to think I didn't have the right to want anything. That wanting was a weakness, and weakness was death in my world." He pauses. "But when I saw you on those steps, crying in the snow, something shifted. I found myself wanting something I had given up hoping for." "What?" "Redemption." The word hangs in the cold air between us. The chance to be more than my father made me. The chance to protect something instead of destroy it. I reach for his hand, threading my fingers through his. His palm is warm despite the cold, calloused in ways that speak of physical work, of real labor beneath the veneer of wealth. "You're not a monster, Marcus. Monsters don't build conservatories in memory of their mothers. They don't stop for crying strangers. They don't offer help without asking for anything in return. You don't know what I've done. Maybe not, but I know who you're trying to be, and that matters more." He looks at our joined hands for a long moment. Then he raises his eyes to mine, and what I see there makes my heart stutter. Vulnerability, hope, and something else. Something deeper, more dangerous, more beautiful. "Stay," he says. "Stay for Christmas dinner. Let me show you what this house looks like when it's not empty." "Yes," I answer without hesitation. "Yes." We ride back to the stable as the sun begins to set. Thomas takes the horses, and Marcus leads me into the main house through a side entrance that opens into a warm kitchen filled with the scents of roasting meat and baking bread. A woman in her 60s stands at the stove, her silver hair pulled back in a practical bun, her apron dusted with flour. She looks up as we enter, and her face transforms with a smile. "Marcus, you're late. The roast is nearly done." "Elena, this is Helena." Marcus removes his gloves and coat. "She's been with my family since before I was born. She practically raised me." "And still trying to civilize him," Helena adds with a wink. "Welcome, dear. It's been years since Marcus brought anyone home for Christmas." I glance at Marcus, surprised by this revelation. He shrugs, a hint of color touching his cheekbones. "There hasn't been anyone worth bringing." The words land in my chest like a gift I didn't know I wanted. "Come," Helena urges, waving us toward the door. The table is set in the small dining room. Nothing too formal tonight, just family. Family. The word wraps around me like a blanket. How long has it been since I felt like part of a family? My parents have been gone for years. My relationship with my sister strained by distance and misunderstanding. Derek never wanted children, and his family treated me like an employee rather than a daughter-in-law. But here, in this vast house filled with shadows and secrets, a woman with flour on her apron is calling me family. Dinner is simple but exquisite. Roast beef with rosemary, potatoes golden with butter, vegetables from Helena's summer garden preserved for winter, wine the color of rubies, candlelight dancing across crystal glasses, and conversation, easy, warm, free of the tension that defined every meal with Derek. Marcus asks about my life before marriage, and I find myself telling stories I had forgotten. My years as a restaurant manager, the small victories and everyday disasters, the dream I once had of opening my own place. "What happened to that dream?" Marcus asks. "Derek." The name tastes bitter. He convinced me that his vision was more important, that supporting him was the best use of my talents. I believed him. "Do you still want it? Your own restaurant?" I consider the question seriously, perhaps for the first time in years. "I don't know. I've spent so long thinking about what Derek wanted that I've forgotten how to think about what I want." "Then perhaps it's time to remember." Marcus reaches across the table and covers my hand with his. "Whatever you want, Elena, I will help you find it. That's a promise." "If you're wondering," Helena interjects from the doorway, a dessert tray in her hands. He means it. Marcus doesn't make promises lightly. "She's right," Marcus confirms, his eyes never leaving mine. I don't. After dinner, we retreat to the library where we first talked. Helena brings coffee and disappears with a knowing smile, leaving us alone before the fire. "I have something for you," Marcus says, producing a small wrapped package from a drawer. "You didn't have to. I wanted to. Open it." I unwrap the package carefully, revealing a velvet box. Inside, resting on silk, is a delicate pendant, a star crafted from diamonds, suspended on a chain so fine it's almost invisible. "Marcus, it belonged to my mother." His voice is quiet. "She called it her North Star. She said it reminded her that no matter how dark the night, there was always something to guide you home." Tears blur my vision. "I can't accept this. It's too precious." "You're wrong." He takes the necklace and moves behind me, fastening it around my neck with gentle fingers. "Nothing is too precious for someone who has given me hope." I touch the pendant where it rests against my collarbone, cool metal warming quickly against my skin. "What hope have I given you?" "The hope that I can change. The hope that my past doesn't have to define my future. The hope that maybe, just maybe, there's someone in this world who can see past the name Valenti and find the man hiding behind it." I turn to face him, and we are standing so close I can count the different shades of grey in his eyes. "I see you," I whisper. "Not the name, not the reputation. You." His hand comes up to cup my face, thumb brushing across my cheekbone with infinite tenderness. "Elena." My name is a prayer on his lips. "May I kiss you?" "Yes." And he does. The kiss is soft at first, tentative, as if he's afraid I might break. Then I press closer, wrapping my arms around his neck, and the kiss deepens into something that steals my breath and rewrites my understanding of what it means to be wanted. This is not the performative affection Derek offered during good times. This is not obligation or ownership or conquest. This is communion, two souls recognizing each other across the distance of their separate wounds. When we finally pull apart, we are both breathing hard. "Stay," Marcus says again, and the word carries a different weight this time. "Not forever, not tonight, but stay for a while. Let me show you what safety feels like." Safety. I lean my forehead against his chest, listening to his heart beat strong and steady. "I'm not sure I remember." "Then let me help you remember." I look up at him, this dangerous, tender man who has offered me kindness in my darkest hour. Okay, I say. I'll stay. His arms tighten around me, and for the first time in longer than I can remember, I feel like I have finally found somewhere I belong. If you are watching this video, take a moment right now to leave a comment with this sentence. Love rebuilds what cruelty destroys. This story has just begun, and the most transformative chapters are still ahead. By leaving this comment, you become part of Elena's journey, and I promise you, you will not regret staying to see where this road leads. The days that follow, Christmas blur together in a haze of discovery and growing intimacy. I learn the rhythms of the Valenti household, the way Helena hums while she cooks, the times when Marcus retreats to his study for mysterious phone calls, the quiet hours in the conservatory where we sit together without needing words. I also learn more about the world Marcus inhabits. The Valenti family has operated in Chicago for 3 generations, he explains one evening as we walk through the snowy grounds. My grandfather built the foundation, shipping, real estate, investments. My father expanded into other areas. What kind of areas? The kind that require discretion. His jaw tightens. I won't lie to you, Elena. The Valenti name carries weight because of actions my family took decades ago, actions that would horrify most people. And now, what actions do you take? He stops walking, turning to face me fully. I am trying to change the direction of this family, to steer us toward legitimate enterprise away from the shadows my father cultivated. But change comes slowly when you're fighting generations of tradition. Is that why you haven't been caught? By the police, I mean? Partly. And partly because we have friends in useful places. But that protection isn't unlimited, and I'm not naive enough to think it will last forever. The world is changing. The old ways of doing things are becoming more dangerous, not less. I absorb this, trying to reconcile the man who kisses me, gently in the firelight, with the man who speaks casually of protection and useful friends. Why are you telling me all this? Because you asked. Because you deserve the truth. And because if you're going to stay in my life, you need to understand the risks. Risks to you or risks to me? Both. His hands come to rest on my shoulders, his eyes intense. Being close to me paints a target on your back, Elena. There are people who would hurt you to hurt me. People who would use you as leverage, as collateral, as a weapon. And yet you invited me into your home. I invited you into my home because the alternative was watching you suffer alone. Because for the first time in my life, I found myself caring more about someone else's well-being than my own safety. That sounds like a weakness in your world. It is. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. The most dangerous weakness of all. We stand together in the snow, breath misting in the cold air, and I make a decision that will shape everything that comes after. I'm not afraid, I tell him. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I've spent years being afraid of the wrong things, afraid of disappointing Derek, afraid of being alone, afraid of wanting too much. You're the first person who's made me feel safe enough to stop being afraid. Elena, I know the risks. I know your world is dangerous, but your world also contains you, and right now that feels like a risk worth taking. He pulls me close, pressing his lips to my forehead, and I feel him tremble, this powerful man who leads an empire trembling in my arms. You humble me, he whispers against my hair. Every day you humble me. New Year's Eve arrives with fresh snow and a phone call from Diana Vasquez. Good news, she announces. Derek's lawyers have accepted our counteroffer. I sink onto the edge of my bed. I've been staying in a guest suite at the Valenti estate, with my own space but close enough to Marcus that I feel his presence always, and grip the phone. What exactly are they accepting? The house is yours, plus a settlement that properly reflects your contribution to the marriage, plus acknowledgement of emotional distress, though that's wrapped in enough legal language that he can pretend it doesn't say what it clearly says. Why would he agree to all that? Derek never gives up anything without a fight. A pause. I may have mentioned that our firm has connections who could make the divorce proceedings extended. very extended, and very public. Connections. My mind races to Marcus, to his quiet mention of friends in useful places. Diana, did Marcus... I don't ask where my leverage comes from, Mrs. Carver. I only know how to use it. The papers will be ready for signing tomorrow. After that, you're free. Free. The word echoes through my mind as I end the call. Free of Derek, free of the marriage that slowly suffocated me, free of the identity of Mrs. Carver that I wore like a costume for 4 years. But free for what? That question remains unanswered. I find Marcus in his study, reviewing documents with a focus that furrows his brow. He looks up as I enter, and his expression immediately softens. Elena, what's wrong? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. I cross to stand beside his chair. Diana called. Derek accepted the settlement. The divorce will be final tomorrow. Marcus sets down his papers and takes my hands, pulling me down to sit on the arm of his chair. How do you feel? I don't know. Tears threaten and I blink them back. I should feel happy, I am happy, but I also feel unmoored, like I've been holding onto a rope for years, and now that it's been cut, I don't know which way is up. That's natural. His thumb traces circles on the back of my hand. You've lost your anchor, even if that anchor was hurting you. It will take time to find your balance. Did you have anything to do with Derek accepting the settlement? His expression doesn't change. I suggested to Diana that she might mention certain complications that could arise from a lengthy legal battle. The details were hers to manage. Marcus, I will not apologize for protecting you. His voice is quiet, but firm. Derek Harrington tried to leave you with nothing after taking everything. He deserved far worse than a generous settlement and a damaged reputation. What kind of damaged reputation? The kind that happens when business partners start asking uncomfortable questions about financial irregularities. The kind that happens when investors reconsider their confidence in a CEO who would humiliate his wife in public. A hint of something cold enters his eyes. Derek will not suffer the way he made you suffer, but he will suffer. I should be horrified. I should object to this manipulation, this wielding of shadowy influence to settle personal scores. Instead, I feel a fierce, primal satisfaction. Thank you, I whisper. I know I shouldn't thank you for whatever exactly you did, but thank you. Marcus rises, pulling me into his arms. You never have to thank me for protecting you. It's what I was made for. Made for? You heard me. He tilts my chin up, his eyes holding mine. I spent decades believing I was made for power, for control, for the cold calculations of empire. Now I understand that I was made for this, for you. The kiss that follows is different from the others, deeper, more urgent, carrying a weight of promise that makes my knees weak. Stay with me tonight, Marcus murmurs against my lips. Not just in this house, stay with me, be mine. I am yours, I answer. I have been since the moment you offered me your coat in the snow. New Year's Eve unfolds in a way I never expected. Marcus has planned a celebration, small, intimate, just the two of us and Helena and a few trusted members of his household. A dinner of impossible elegance, champagne that costs more than my old monthly salary, a view of the Chicago skyline from windows that frame the world like a work of art. At midnight, fireworks explode over the city, painting the sky in colors that reflect in Marcus's eyes as he holds me close. Happy New Year, Elena. Happy New Year. I press closer to him, feeling his heart beat against my cheek. What are your resolutions? I don't make resolutions. I make plans. He kisses the top of my head. And my plans for this year all involve you. Tell me. I plan to watch you rediscover who you are. I plan to support whatever dreams you've buried under years of someone else's demands. I plan to show you every day what it means to be valued, respected, cherished. That's a lot of plans. I have more. His voice drops. I plan to earn your trust day by day, until you know in your bones that I will never betray you. I plan to build something real with you. Not the performance Derek offered, but something true. Something that can withstand storms. I look up at him, this man who has transformed my life in barely a week, and I make my own resolution. I want to try opening a restaurant, I say. Maybe not this year, maybe not even next year, but someday, my own place, my own vision. Then we'll make it happen. You can't just buy me a restaurant, Marcus. I won't buy you anything. His smile is warm. But I will invest in your talent. I will connect you with people who can help you learn what you need to know. I will believe in you until you learn to believe in yourself. It's too much. Too generous. Too perfect. Too far from the life I thought I would be living this time last month. But as fireworks continue to paint the sky and Marcus holds me close, I decide to stop questioning miracles. Sometimes the universe corrects itself. Sometimes cruelty leads to kindness, winter leads to warmth, and the worst night of your life leads to the best chapter of your story. The papers arrive by courier on January 2nd. I sign them in Marcus's study, my hand steady, my heart oddly light. Diana has included a note. Congratulations on your freedom. Use it wisely. How do you feel? Marcus asks as I set down the pen. Free. The word tastes different now, not frightening, but full of possibility. Really, truly free. Then let's celebrate. He takes my hand. I have something to show you. The car takes us into the city to a neighborhood I recognize from my restaurant days. We stop in front of a building I've admired for years, a corner property with tall windows and a brick facade. Currently empty, a for lease sign in the window. What is this, I ask as Marcus leads me inside. The interior is dusty, neglected, clearly vacant for some time. But beneath the grime I can see potential. The original hardwood floors, the pressed tin ceiling, the light that pours through those tall windows. This used to be a restaurant, Marcus explains. One of the best in the city until the owner retired and no one stepped up to continue his legacy. It's been sitting empty for 2 years. Marcus. My voice is barely a whisper. The lease is yours if you want it. No strings attached, no repayment expected. Consider it a gift to celebrate your freedom. I can't. You can. He turns me to face him, his hands on my shoulders. Elena, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Using some of it to support your dreams isn't sacrifice. It's investment. Investment in the woman who changed everything for me. Tears blur my vision. I look around the empty space, seeing not dust and neglect but possibility. Tables filled with happy diners, a kitchen humming with creative energy. My name on the door. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Succeed. Build something beautiful here. Show the world. Show yourself. What you're capable of when someone believes in you. I throw my arms around his neck, pressing my face against his shoulder, overwhelmed by a future I never dared to imagine. I love you, I whisper, and the words surprise us both. Marcus goes still. Then his arms tighten around me and I feel something release in him. Some tension he's been carrying, some wall he's been maintaining. I love you too, he says against my hair. I have since the moment I saw you crying in the snow. I just needed to give you time to be ready to hear it. We stand together in the empty restaurant, surrounded by dust and potential, and I realize that this moment, this man, this unexpected second chance, is what I was always meant to find. The road from here won't be easy. Marcus's world is still dangerous, still full of shadows and complications. Building a restaurant from nothing is still daunting, still fraught with possibility of failure. But I am not afraid anymore. I have found my North Star, just like the pendant resting against my heart, and nothing is going to stop me from following it home. The weeks that follow are a whirlwind of activity and discovery. Mornings are spent at the restaurant space with contractors and designers, transforming the dusty shell into something that matches my vision. Marcus insists on hiring the best people, and while I initially resist the extravagance, I quickly realize that quality matters. Every detail, from the kitchen equipment to the placement of windows, needs to be exactly right. "What are you going to call it?" Marcus asks one evening as we review plans over dinner. "I've been thinking about this for days, weeks really, though I didn't acknowledge it even to myself." "North Star," I say finally. "I want to call it North Star." Marcus's eyes soften. His hand reaches across the table to touch the pendant at my throat. "Your mother's necklace," I explain, though he already knows. "It reminded me that even in the darkest times, there's something to guide you home. I want my restaurant to be that for people, a place where they can escape, where they can celebrate, where they can remember what matters." "It's perfect." His voice is rough with emotion. "She would have loved that." Afternoons are spent learning the business side of running a restaurant, accounting, inventory, staffing. All the details I observed from the outside during my years as a manager, but never truly owned. Marcus connects me with mentors, advisors, people who have succeeded in the industry and are willing to share their wisdom. Evenings are ours. We dine together, talk together, explore the city together. I learn more about his world, the network of businesses and relationships that make up the Valenti empire, the careful dance between legitimate enterprise and shadowy legacy. I meet his associates, men with hard faces who treat me with careful respect, clearly following their boss's lead. I also meet his enemies. It happens on a grey February afternoon when I'm leaving the restaurant space. A black car pulls up and a man steps out, older, silver-haired, with the cold eyes of a predator. "Mrs. Carver?" He approaches before I can retreat. Or should I say Mr. Valenti's new companion? "Who are you?" "Someone who believes you're making a serious mistake." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Marcus Valenti is not the man he appears to be. The things he's done, the people he's destroyed. You wouldn't stand so close to him if you knew the truth." Fear prickles along my spine. I know exactly who Marcus is. "Do you?" The man steps closer. "Do you know about the Moreno family, the deals with the Chicago syndicate, the arrangement that keeps law, enforcement looking the other way? I know that Marcus is trying to change, to build something better. Change." The man laughs, a cold, brittle sound. "Men like Valenti don't change, Mrs. Carver. They adapt, they disguise, but underneath, they remain exactly what they always were. And what Marcus Valenti has always been is dangerous. If you're trying to frighten me, I'm trying to warn you, before it's too late." He produces a card from his pocket and presses it into my hand. "When you're ready to know the truth, the real truth, call this number. I have information that will change everything you think you understand." He's gone before I can respond, sliding back into the black car and disappearing into traffic. I stand on the sidewalk, heart pounding, staring at the card in my hand. When I return to the estate, I show Marcus the card. I tell him everything the stranger said. He listens in silence, his expression growing darker with each word. "Victor Gallo," he says finally, examining the card. "A rival, a man who would benefit greatly from my fall. Is what he said true? The Moreno family, the syndicate, parts of it." Marcus sets the card aside and takes my hands. "Elena, I told you from the beginning that my family has done things I'm not proud of. The Moreno situation is one of those things, but it happened before I took control, and I've spent years trying to untangle the consequences. And the arrangement with law enforcement," his jaw tightens. "Protection exists. I won't lie about that. But I'm working to eliminate our need for it by moving away from the activities that require protection in the first place." Why would this Victor Gallo tell me all this? What does he want? He wants to drive us apart, to isolate me, to use you as a weapon against me, the way my enemies have always used the people I care about. I remember what Marcus said about risks, about targets, about the danger of being close to him. "What should I do?" I ask. "Whatever you feel is right." His hands tighten on mine. "If you want to leave, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected, that the restaurant proceeds as planned, that nothing I've promised is taken away. But if you want to stay, I want to stay. He closes his eyes and I see relief flood his features. Then stay, and trust me when I tell you that Victor Gallo is a manipulator. Whatever truths he mixes with his lies, his goal is destruction, not justice. I trust you. I mean it. Despite everything, despite the complexity and the shadows and the warnings, I trust Marcus Valenti more than I've ever trusted anyone. He pulls me close, pressing his lips to my forehead. I will never give you reason to regret that trust. I swear it. But trouble finds us anyway. 3 weeks later, I arrive at the restaurant to find the front windows shattered, the interior destroyed. Everything, the carefully chosen furniture, the pristine kitchen equipment, the custom bar I spent weeks designing, lies in ruins. I stand in the wreckage, too stunned to cry, too shocked to move. Marcus arrives within the hour, his face carved from stone, his eyes burning with a rage that makes the air around him crackle. "Gallo," he says, surveying the damage, "this is his work." "How can you be sure?" "Because this is how he operates, threaten, manipulate, destroy. He wants me to know that I can't protect what I love." "But why? What did you do to him?" "I refuse to ally with him. I refuse to merge our organizations, to give him access to my networks and my influence. And Victor Gallo does not tolerate refusal." He turns to face me, and the fury in his eyes softens into something like determination. "I will rebuild this. Every piece of furniture, every piece of equipment, better than before. I swear to you, Elena, this setback will not stop your dream. It's not just about the restaurant." My voice shakes. "Marcus, he came after something that mattered to you, to me. How far is he willing to go? As far as it takes." Marcus's jaw sets. "But so am I, and I have resources he can't imagine." The days that follow are tense, charged with an energy I don't fully understand. Marcus disappears for hours at a time, returning with shadows under his eyes and a hardness in his expression that reminds me of the first night we met. He doesn't tell me what he's doing. I don't ask, but I notice changes. More security around the estate, new faces among his staff, hard-faced men who move with military precision, whispered conversations that stop when I enter a room. "Are you going to war?" I ask one night, finding him in his study surrounded by papers. He looks up, and for a moment, I see the weight he carries, the impossible burden of being both the man who loves me and the man who leads an empire under siege. "Not if I can help it." He sets down his papers and rises to meet me. "War destroys everything it touches, including the winners. I'm looking for another way." "What kind of way?" "The kind that requires leverage, evidence, something that gives me power over Gallo without requiring violence." "And if you can't find it?" He doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The confrontation comes 3 weeks later. I'm at the estate when Marcus receives a phone call that changes his expression from neutral to fierce. "He's made a mistake," Marcus says after hanging up. "A significant one." "What kind of mistake?" "The kind that gives me everything I need." He crosses to me, taking my hands. "Elena, I have to handle this tonight. I need you to stay here in the safe room until I return." "The safe room?" "Every house in my family has one. A place that can withstand anything short of a military assault." He leads me down a corridor I've never noticed, to a door that opens onto a hidden elevator. "Helena will stay with you. Whatever happens, whatever you hear, do not leave until I come for you personally." Fear coils in my stomach. "Marcus, what are you going to do?" "What needs to be done?" He cups my face in his hands. "Trust me. Please, trust that I will handle this in a way that doesn't destroy everything we've built." "I trust you." The words come without hesitation. "But I'm scared." "So am I." He presses his forehead to mine. "I'm terrified of losing you, of becoming what Gallo is trying to make me. But I won't let him win. I won't let him take our future." He kisses me then, deep and desperate, and I taste fear and love and determination on his lips. Then, he's gone, and I descend into the safe room with Helena, and the waiting begins. Hours pass. Helena and I sit together in the bunker-like space, drinking tea and pretending not to be terrified. She tells me stories about Marcus as a child, his intensity, his kindness, his determination to be different from his father, even when he didn't have words for what different meant. He was always looking for something, Helena says. Some purpose beyond power. I think with you, he finally found it. I hope I'm worth the trouble I've caused. You've caused no trouble, dear. Victor Gallo was always going to come for Marcus. The only question was when and why. A beep from the security panel makes us both jump. Then the elevator doors slide open, and Marcus steps through. He's disheveled, his suit jacket torn, a cut on his cheek that's already starting to bruise. But he's alive. He's alive. I throw myself into his arms, and he catches me, holding me so tight I can barely breathe. "It's over," he murmurs against my hair. "It's done." What happened? What did you do? I gave Victor Gallo a choice. Marcus pulls back enough to look at me. Evidence of his activities, enough to destroy him completely, in exchange for withdrawal. Complete, permanent withdrawal from my territory and my business. And he agreed. He had no alternative. The evidence I gathered wasn't just about his illegal operations. It was about his legitimate ones too. His political connections, his charity, foundations, everything he's built that gives him status and respectability. All of it vulnerable to exposure. So he just walked away. He walked away. Marcus's smile is grim, but satisfied. He'll find another city to plague, another rival to torment, but Chicago is mine, and you are safe. Helena excuses herself with a knowing smile, and Marcus leads me upstairs to the conservatory where our story truly began. We sit together among the plants, watching dawn break through the glass walls, and I feel something shift inside me. Fear has been my companion for so long. Fear of Derek's judgment, fear of failure, fear of wanting too much from life. But sitting here, in the aftermath of a battle I didn't fully understand, I realize that fear has finally released its grip. What happens now, I ask, leaning into Marcus's warmth. Now we build. His arm tightens around me. The restaurant. Our life together. Whatever future you want, we build it. Without shadows hanging over us. No more enemies. There will always be enemies, but none as immediate, as dangerous as Gallo was. The rest we can handle. Together. Together. The word settles into my heart like a promise. I think about the woman I was 3 months ago, the wife crying on the steps, abandoned and humiliated, believing her life was over. I think about the woman I am now, loved, valued, supported in ways I never imagined. Marcus didn't save me. I saved myself by choosing to accept his help, by choosing to trust when trust felt impossible, by choosing to build something new from the wreckage of something old. But he gave me the space to make those choices. He gave me safety and time and resources, and most importantly, belief. "I love you," I tell him, the words no longer strange on my tongue. "I love who you are and who you're becoming, and the future we're going to build together. I love you too." He kisses my temple, more than I knew it was possible to love anyone. We sit in silence as the sun rises higher, painting the conservatory in shades of gold, and I know with certainty that goes bone deep that this is only the beginning. Spring arrives in Chicago with warmth and renewal. The restaurant reopens, rebuilt better than before, exactly as Marcus promised. North Star becomes not just my dream but my triumph, a physical manifestation of everything I've overcome. Opening night is packed, critics rave. The waiting list grows longer every week, but the real success isn't measured in reservations or reviews. It's measured in the pride I feel when I stand in my kitchen, leading a team I trained, serving food I created. It's measured in the face of Marcus, who comes for dinner every Thursday, sitting at the same corner table, watching me with eyes that hold nothing but love. It's measured in the distance between who I was and who I've become. On the anniversary of that terrible Christmas party, Marcus takes me back to the Harrington estate. not to the party. The Harringtons no longer hold their gatherings there, having fallen from social grace after Derek's financial troubles became public, but to the steps where we first met. We stand in the cold, snow falling gently around us, and I remember the woman who stood here a year ago, broken and alone. You saved my life, I tell Marcus. I know I've said it before, but I need you to understand. That night, I was ready to give up, to disappear into the wreckage and never emerge. But you stopped. You offered your coat. You saw me when no one else did. I saw someone worth seeing. He pulls me close. Someone who had been overlooked and undervalued and treated as less than she deserved. I saw my own loneliness reflected in your eyes, and I couldn't walk away. What if you had? What if you'd gotten in your car and driven off? Then I would have missed the best thing that ever happened to me. He cups my face in his hands. Elena, you didn't just change my life. You gave me a reason to become the man I always wanted to be. Before you I was surviving, now I'm living. We're living, I correct, together. Together. He smiles, and it transforms his face from imposing to beautiful. Which brings me to something I've been meaning to ask. He releases me and reaches into his pocket, producing a small velvet box. My heart stops. Elena Carver. He sinks to one knee in the snow, oblivious to the cold, soaking through his perfectly tailored pants. You came into my life on the worst night of yours and somehow made it the beginning of the best chapter of mine. You saw past my name and my reputation and my fears to find the man underneath. You trusted me when trust must have felt impossible. Marcus, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that your trust was well placed? Will you be my wife, my partner, my North Star? Tears stream down my face, but these are different tears. These are tears of joy so overwhelming it can't be contained. Yes, I whisper. Yes, yes, yes. He rises, sliding a ring onto my finger, a diamond that catches the streetlight like captured stars, and kisses me until I forget about the cold, forget about everything, except this moment, this man, this impossible second chance at happiness. When we finally pull apart, breathless and smiling, he wraps me in his arms and holds me close. Let's go home, he says. Home. The word has never sounded so sweet. We walk together through the falling snow, leaving the Harrington estate and everything it represents behind us forever. 6 months later, we marry in the conservatory, where we first admitted our love. Helena cries. Mia, serving as my maid of honor, cries harder. Even some of Marcus's hard-faced associates look suspiciously emotional. The reception is at North Star, my restaurant filled with everyone we love, celebrating a future neither of us dared to imagine. I stand at the window, watching Marcus move through the crowd, shaking hands and accepting congratulations, and I think about the journey that brought us here. A Christmas party that ended in humiliation, a stranger in the snow, a dangerous world that became a sanctuary, a broken woman who learned to become whole. If someone had told me a year ago that my husband's public abandonment would lead me to this moment, married to a man who loves me fiercely, running a successful restaurant, surrounded by people who value and support me, I would have called them crazy. But here I am. Here we are. Sometimes the universe corrects itself. Sometimes cruelty leads to kindness, and winter leads to warmth, and the worst night of your life leads to the best chapter of your story. What are you thinking about? Marcus appears at my side, sliding an arm around my waist. About how much can change in a year. Regrets? Not a single one. He kisses my temple, and I lean into his warmth, into the safety he's offered since that first cold night. I love you, Mrs. Valenti. The name still sounds strange, but strange in a good way. A fresh start way. I love you too, Mr. Valenti. I turn to face him, to see the joy reflected in those storm-grey eyes. Now and forever. Forever. It used to be a word that frightened me. Forever with Derek meant forever small, forever invisible, forever less than. But forever with Marcus means forever growing, forever loved, forever home. And that is the only forever I want. If you've watched this far, it's because you like this story. Leave a comment saying, "I've watched this far," so I can get to know you and see who really enjoys the stories here on the channel. Please take a moment to like this video and share it with anyone who believes that love can transform the darkest chapters into something beautiful. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more stories of hope, redemption, and the power of connection. The years that follow are not always easy. Marcus's world still carries shadows, old debts that resurface, old enemies who test the boundaries of our peace. Running a restaurant requires constant attention, constant creativity, constant energy. But we face every challenge together. When North Star receives its first bad review, Marcus holds me while I cry, then helps me analyze the feedback objectively. When a former associate from Marcus's past threatens to expose old secrets, I stand beside him as he navigates the situation with the integrity he's worked so hard to build. When we lose Helena to old age, peacefully in her sleep, we mourn her together, honoring the woman who helped shape us both. And when I discover I'm pregnant, 2 years into our marriage, we celebrate together, crying, laughing, holding each other in the conservatory where so many important moments have taken place. Our daughter arrives in late autumn with her father's dark hair and her mother's stubbornness. We name her Stella, Star, a tribute to everything that guided us through the darkness. She grows up in a house full of love. She learns to cook in my kitchen, to ride horses on her father's estate, to see the world as a place full of possibility rather than danger. She never knows fear the way I knew fear. She never experiences cruelty the way Derek was cruel. She grows up believing that she is valuable, that her dreams matter, that love is a foundation rather than a cage, and that, more than any restaurant success or social triumph, is what I am most proud of. Because I was humiliated at a Christmas party and abandoned by my husband, and I had no idea that humiliation would lead me here, to a life richer and fuller than anything I could have imagined. Because sometimes the end is really the beginning. Because sometimes the monster in the story turns out to be the one who saves you. Because love, real love, has the power to rewrite every story that came before. I stand at the window of North Star, watching snow fall on the city outside, and I think about all the versions of myself that led to this moment. The girl who dreamed of owning a restaurant, the woman who gave up that dream for a man who didn't deserve her, the wife who stood crying in the snow, believing her life was over, the stranger who took the hand of a dangerous man and chose to trust, the partner who built a life out of the wreckage, the mother who taught her daughter that strength and vulnerability can coexist. All of them are me, all of them matter, and all of them led here to peace, to purpose, to a love that weathers every storm. Outside, a black car pulls up to the curb. Marcus steps out, Stella in his arms, both of them bundled against the cold. They wave to me through the window, and my heart swells with a gratitude too large for words. This is my life. This is my story. This is my forever. And it began the night I was humiliated at a Christmas party and abandoned by my husband, unaware that the stranger who stopped for me in the snow would become everything. Every ending is a beginning. Every darkness holds a star. And love, real, fierce, transformative love, can turn the coldest winter into the warmest home.